Co-founder John Africa said, "The system will point guns at people and say that it is in defense of the system. People can point guns at the system that see it as wrong, leading people to believe that when the system points guns at people, it's in the right of defense, but when folks point guns at the system, it is in defense of nothing." A quote from John Africa.
Notre pays produit suffisamment de quoi nous nourrir. Nous pouvons dépasser même notre production, malheureusement. Par manque d'organisation, nous sommes encore obligés de tendre la main pour demander des aides alimentaires.
You will never get real freedom and recognition between black and white people in this country without destroying the country, without destroying the present political system, without destroying the present economic system, without rewriting the entire Constitution. It will be a complete destruction of everything that America supposedly stands for before a white man in this country will recognize a black man as something on the same level with himself. And this is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the best way to solve the problem is complete separation. Let the black man, those of our people in this country who want to, have a country of our own where we can go and spend on our own feet and solve our own problems and not have to continue going to court or waiting for some politician to legislate for another 100 or 2 years to prove that we're human beings.
Malcolm, what is your purpose here?
Well, my purpose here is to remind the African heads of state that there are 22 million of us in America who are also of African descent, and to remind them also that we are the victims of America's colonialism or American imperialism, and that our problem is not an American problem, it's a human problem. It's not a Negro problem, it's a problem of humanity. It's not a problem of civil rights, but a problem of human rights.
And what do you hope for from this conference?
Well, we hope to bring pressure upon them, or rather we hope to impress upon them the importance of their bringing pressure and world opinion upon the United States to take some meaningful effort to solve our problem in America. We want them to help us get our problem before the United Nations and charge America with violating our human rights in the same way that South Africa is charged with violating the human rights of our people in that area.
For the program, they need to defeat the one main element in politics which are working against them. And this was a psychological feeling of inferiority. So then in 1968, we started forming what is now called South African Students Federation. It was primarily based on black consciousness. The essence of it was for the black man to elevate his own position by positively looking at those very systems that make him distinctively a man in society. Now, the black man has got no ill intentions for the white man. The black man is only incensed at the white man to the extent that he wants to entrench himself in a position of power to exploit the black man. But beyond that, nothing more. And we don't need any artificial majority, any artificial laws to entrench ourselves in power, because we believe once we come into power, our sheer number will maintain itself. So we do not have the same fear that the minority white country has been having all along. We believe that in our country there shall be no minority, there shall be no majority, there shall be people.
Huey Newton and Bobby Seale had organized with groups working with the Revolutionary Action Movement, or RAM, in 1966. RAM had started a Black Panther Party in Philadelphia, New York, and then Los Angeles. Maxwell Stanford, seen here, and Herman Ferguson started RAM. They used the Panther symbol that Stokely Carmichael had used for his Lowndes County, Mississippi Freedom Party. Carmichael and H. Rap Brown headed the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, which acted as the student arm of Martin Luther King's group. By October of 1966, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale decided to start their own new group, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, in Oakland, California. They wanted to differentiate themselves from RAM's Black Panther Party by using more militant means of defending themselves and other blacks against rampant police brutality. They brought guns and law books to scenes of police beating on blacks. They read the rights of the victims and legally pointed guns at the officers to make them stop. Governor Ronald Reagan ended up changing the law because of them. They also developed a 10-point plan that involved free healthcare for all, free and black-centered education for all, amongst other ideas to fix society's ills. They further enacted these plans by attaining contributions from neighborhood businesses to fund the free breakfast programs and health centers they started. Their fame, membership, and programs quickly spread across the country. The next biggest chapter soon arose in Los Angeles, headed by John Huggins and apprentice Bunchy Carter. New York Times bestselling author Eldridge Cleaver had joined the Oakland Black Panther national leadership as their Minister of Information. His soon-to-be wife Kathleen Cleaver gained the position of National Secretary of Communications, a national spokesperson for the group at many events. Huey Newton and Bobby Seale signed Stokely Carmichael and H. Rap Brown as honorary East Coast Black Panther leaders. In New York City, Abba Shakur joined the Revolutionary Action Movement's New York Black Panthers. In 1968, the Oakland-based Black Panther Party for Self-Defense assigned Lumumba Shakur to head the Harlem Black Panthers. Within months, Tupac Shakur's mother, Afeni Shakur, joined the Harlem chapter and then married Lumumba Shakur. The National Panther leadership had assigned Lumumba's childhood friend, Sekou Odinga, who had also joined Malcolm X's group before he died, to head the Bronx Black Panther chapter. They named Lumumba's brother, Zaid Shakur, as the Bronx Black Panthers' Minister of Information. Tupac's uncle Thomas McCreary helped lead the Brooklyn Panthers. U.S. intelligence attacks on the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense started in 1967. Police had a list of Black Panther member license plates when they pulled Huey Newton over and got into a shootout with him. Bullets killed one officer and wounded Newton. Courts eventually acquitted Newton of this charge, but not before several years in jail and worldwide protests over his imprisonment. In 1968, a gunman assassinated civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King's friend, a journalist named William Pepper, later became an attorney teaching at Oxford University and spent over 20 years investigating MLK's assassination. Here he is seen with Dr. King's family, where he represented them at an historic 1999 trial they won against a government co-conspirator involved in King's assassination. William Pepper wrote a first book on the investigation, Orders to Kill, and a second book on the trial, Act of State. Pepper said that U.S. intelligence, meaning the CIA, the FBI, military intelligence, etc., orchestrated Martin Luther King's assassination with the help of local mafia. Pepper said they did this partly due to King's mobilization of poor and working-class people to struggle for better wages and to oppose the Vietnam War.
He flagrantly violates building codes and regulations. His police make a mockery of law. He violates laws on equal employment and education. The slums are the handiwork of a vicious system of the white society. Negroes live in them, but they do not make them any more than a prisoner makes a prison. Let us say it forthrightly. that if the total slum violations of law by the white man over the years were calculated and compared with the law-breaking of a few days of riots, the hardened criminal would be the white man. In using the term white man, I am seeking to describe in general terms the Negro's adversary. It is not meant to encompass all white people. There are millions who have morally risen above prevailing prejudices. They are willing to share power and to accept structural alterations of society, even at the cost of traditional privilege. To deny that existence, as some ultra-nationalists do, is to deny an evident truth. It is not the race per se that we fight, but the policies and ideology formulated by leaders of that race to perpetuate oppression.
Ustedes no ven el imperio yanqui, ustedes no ven la masacre que el Estado genocida de Israel cometió contra un grupo de pacifistas que iban llevando una carga humanitaria al pueblo palestino que está en Gaza, rodeado por todos lados por Israel. No les permiten ni agua. Masacraron a una gente ahí, ustedes lo vieron, ¿verdad? Bueno, vean ustedes Estados Unidos. Estados Unidos lo que dijo es que está preocupado. Están preocupados. Imagínense, Alcalá, Dios nos libre, que eso hubiera ocurrido en aguas venezolanas. Ya estaríamos invadidos. Tengan la seguridad que ya nos hubieran invadido. Pero no, como es Israel, se le permite de todo. Entonces, ese es un ejemplo de doble moral. El gobierno de Obama condena el terrorismo, siempre y cuando no sea cometido por ellos mismos. Por ellos, Estados Unidos o sus aliados, Israel. Nos acusa a nosotros, a mí me acusan de patrocinar el terrorismo. Son ellos los que patrocinan el terrorismo. Aprovecho para condenar de nuevo, desde el fondo de mi alma y de mis vísceras, al Estado de Israel. Maldito seas, Estado de Israel. Maldito sea, terroristas y asesinos. Y viva el pueblo palestino. Pueblo heroico, pueblo bueno. Ahora, fíjense ustedes, la oposición venezolana no ha dicho ni nada contra Israel. No, que Israel financia a la oposición venezolana, financia la contrarrevolución. Incluso hay grupos de terroristas israelíes del Mossad que andan detrás de mí tratando de matarme. Tratando de matarme. Esa es una de las amenazas que tenemos nosotros. Solo que los tenemos controlados. Sabemos dónde se mueven, en las islas del Caribe. Tenemos muchos amigos en todas partes, pues. Y ellos no son invisibles. No son el hombre invisible. Y son torpes también, la mayor parte de las veces. Están acostumbrados a pelear contra indefensos como esta expedición humanitaria. A medianoche les cayeron en helicóptero, ráfagas de ametralladora, una gente que estaba durmiendo, seguramente la mayoría, en aguas internacionales. Es un crimen de guerra. ¿Dónde está la Corte Penal Internacional? ¿Dónde están las Naciones Unidas? ¿Dónde está la justicia en este mundo, por el amor de Dios? ¿Dónde está la justicia en este mundo?
But isn't it something less? Because the Negro didn't make the game. See, as long as someone is giving you something, he can always take it back. And this is the mistake this is where our people are making the mistake. We are sitting, waiting for whites.
Nobody gets the Negro anything.
I don't mean it in that sense. Either in court or out of court, we've been sitting and waiting for the man to give us some concessions. Now, whenever you ask if you're asking the white power structure for jobs, that's only a temporary solution. If you ask the white power structure for housing, that's a temporary solution. As Mr. Farmer said, where the Negro used to ask for equality, now he's asking for more. He's asking for more than equality. Well, likewise, if they give us more than equality, 10 years from now, we're going to be asking for more than that because the problem has still not gotten a real solution. Mr. Moderator. Just one moment, let me finish what I'm going to say. As long as we accept a temporary solution, the problem will go unsolved. It'll be solved for you and me right now, but not for our children. We practice the principles of the religion of Islam, which mean prayer, charity, fasting, brotherhood. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that since the Western society is deteriorating, it has become overrun with immorality, that God is going to judge it and destroy it. And the only way black people who are in this society can be saved is to not integrate into this corrupt society, but separate ourselves from it, reform ourselves, lift up our moral standards, and try and be godly instead of try and integrate with God instead of trying to integrate with the white man, or try and imitate God instead of trying to imitate with the white man. It has been our people were brought here in chains, forcibly, not on the Mayflower, but in slave ships, to add to the American economy, and we've been exploited politically, economically, and otherwise ever since.
In China, from the 1920s through 1949, there is no one like Mao Zedong. His military victories are blazing, and his ability to inspire his people is electric.
Mao Zedong came to power in the 20s, organizing peasants in Hunan, in the south of China, and launched this whole new kind of revolution. He sort of stood Marx on his ear. Instead of workers, he organized a revolution with peasants.
Mao's communist movement also faces fierce battles against Chinese rival Chiang Kai-shek and the invading forces of the Imperial Japanese Army.
Slowly that
COINTELPRO's Then and Now. On the move, long live John Africa, and all power to the people. I greet you all as we look at what's happening in the world and try to figure out why and how. When most people hear the acronym COINTELPRO, FBI code speak for its counterintelligence program, they think of the 60s and maybe the Black Panther Party, perhaps the Weathermen, or the anti-war movement. In fact, this governmental program didn't begin in the 60s, nor did it end in the 70s, despite what newspaper accounts say or what government PR people claim. I know this because I did the research, read government reports, read actual files, many uncovered by the break-in of the FBI field offices and media in the early 1970s, and works by FBI defectors who told the inside story. And of course, I wrote about it in my book, We Want Freedom, A Life in the Black Panther Party, which has a whole chapter devoted to COINTELPRO. I assure you, it didn't begin there, and it didn't end there. Did you know that there were FBI files on Marcus Garvey, dated 1919, on Martin Luther King Sr., the father of MLK, on Dick Gregory? Did you know the FBI tried to get the Mafia to take out a hit on Dick Gregory, a comedian? Yeah, I read the file. What activists have to understand is that the government, every government, targets activists. When Paris was in ferment against an incompetent king, and people began grumbling in taverns, secret police and informants were taking notes, giving up names. Now, how do we know this? After the French Revolution, when the king was overthrown, they found these reports, cahiers they were called. They can be read today in museums, and that was in the 1780s. Do you know what the primary difference between the COINTELPRO of the 60s and today is? Almost everything that happened in the 60s, the break-ins, the secret taping of activists, what the FBI used to call black bag jobs, even killings and kidnappings, well, they were illegal under many state laws, and agents were warned that if they got busted, they were on their own. They would go to jail. What a difference a few decades make. For under the so-called Patriot Act, almost everything that was illegal then is legal now, because a Congress that admits it didn't even read the law passed it shortly after 9/11 in fear. Oh yeah, and the Obama administration is set to reauthorize it. Secret wiretaps, black bag jobs, secret prisons, destabilizing movements using snitches, informants, and a sellout corporate media. These are all the features of a national security state, where the people have illusions of democracy, elections, and the like, but governments snoop into every corner of personal life and wipe out people and destroy social movements using criminal tactics. Social movements such as the Oscar Grant movement must study movements of the past to learn to avoid some of the traps set by the state and its corporate media arm. But repression, state repression, has a longer history in America than that of the Constitution, and is therefore something deep in this society's psyche. If this were not so, the U.S. couldn't have resorted to torture so readily, so quickly. There is now, in practice, if not in law, torture, secret prisons, extraordinary renditions, all in the name of the United States. It's your tax dollars at work. One more thing. For those who wonder if COINTELPRO was, is real, several days ago, I watched a quirky old black and white movie on TMC. It was in French with subtitles, but oddly enough, it was about an American in Paris. It starred a beautiful young actress named Jean Seberg. I doubt most of you will know the name, but check out We Want Freedom, and you'll see how the FBI and the gossip press drove her into miscarriage and suicide only because she was a supporter of the Black Panther Party. It's real, y'all, and it's up and running today. I thank you all. On the move, long live John Africa. From Death Row, this is Mumia Abu Jamal.
Here's an FBI counterintelligence program called COINTELPRO document detailing U.S. intelligence's concern that another radical black leader could rise up in the way Malcolm X had. The document talks of preventing the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. The document said that Martin Luther King Jr. was the leading candidate for this role. While most people seem to understand that MLK was not a militant black nationalist, but a leader who fought racist institutions, MLK evolved to struggle for economic and social justice. Malcolm X had also evolved to become more inclusive of all races in his movement for social and economic justice. In the days following MLK's assassination, people rioted, setting fire to buildings in over 100 cities nationwide. In Oakland, the highest per capita black city of that time, people didn't set the town ablaze because Black Panthers, including Eldridge Cleaver and Kathleen Cleaver, had asked them not to. They said police would use rioting as an excuse to kill the Black Panthers. Police had ransacked Eldridge and Kathleen Cleaver's home previously and then went after Eldridge 4 days after MLK's assassination. Police used a different excuse to go after Eldridge Cleaver, saying they were looking for a random gunman in the area and he was a suspect. Cleaver eluded them by hiding in the basement of his neighbor's house. Police unloaded a fusillade of bullets into that house. Cleaver saved himself by coming out of the house completely naked, knowing police couldn't shoot him and say he was armed. 18-year-old Bobby Hutton was too shy to follow Cleaver's advice. He came out shirtless with his arms raised and police fatally shot him. FBI documents obtained years later and shown here described how they instructed police intelligence to use a harassment arrest strategy to drain the Revolutionary Action Movement's members' time and money. Other documents showed how they used this in their attempt to neutralize the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Evidence further suggested the future use of this strategy against Tupac Shakur and other political rappers. Police intelligence, who had officers that were also FBI agents, proceeded to arrest Panther leaders throughout the country on what appeared as frame-ups. Undercover agents also infiltrated the Black Panthers to set up murders of Panther leaders. These included Los Angeles Panther leaders Bunchy Carter and John Huggins. Huggins and Carter had left a tape-recorded message that if they died, Geronimo Pratt should take their place as the LA Panther leader. In Chicago, the FBI and police intelligence waged a particularly gruesome attack on Panther leader Fred Hampton. Hampton had great success in uniting the Panthers in a rainbow coalition with the White Students for a Democratic Society and the Latino Young Lords activist groups. Hampton further helped politicize the largest gangs in Chicago, including the Blackstone Rangers. An undercover police agent, William O'Neill, sabotaged the Blackstone Rangers' merge with the Panthers by firing at the gang and passing fake letters to the Rangers. U.S. intelligence would similarly target Tupac Shakur for his work at politicizing gangs. By the end of 1969, police led a murderous raid on Fred Hampton's apartment. Evidence suggests undercover agent O'Neill drugged Hampton and police killed the Panther leader in his sleep. Police also killed Southern Illinois Panther leader Mark Clark in that raid. Here, some of these Chicago police officers are seen smiling while carrying Hampton's body. Since these assassinations, several federal officials confirmed that the FBI orchestrated them through police intelligence units. For example, a Los Angeles FBI counterintelligence program agent named M. Wesley Swearingen published this memoir, FBI Secrets, in the mid-1990s. It confirmed the FBI's orchestration of LA Panther leaders Bunchy Carter and John Huggins' murders. He further confirmed the frame-up of LA Panther leader Geronimo Pratt. Swearingen also quoted the Chicago FBI COINTELPRO head as stating their setup of Hampton and Clark's assassinations.
Into our religious place of worship and got records that they can use to prove that most of us have criminal records. You can't be a Negro in America and not have a criminal record. Martin Luther King has been to jail, clean. James Farmer has been to jail. Why, you can't name a black man in this country who is sick and tired of the hell that he's catching who hasn't been to jail. Charged him with being seditious. They put Moses in jail. They put Daniel in jail. Why, you haven't got a man of God in the Bible that wasn't put to jail when they started speaking out against exploitation and oppression. They charged Jesus with sedition. Didn't they do that? They said he was against Caesar. They said he was discriminating because he told his disciples, go not the way of the Gentiles, but rather go to the lost sheep. He discriminated. Don't go near the Gentiles, go to the lost sheep. Go to the oppressed. Go to the downtrodden. Go to the exploited. Go to the people who don't know who they are, who are lost from the knowledge of themselves, and who are strangers in a land that is not theirs. Go to those people. Go to the slaves. Go to the second-class citizens. Go to the ones who are suffering the brunt of Caesar's brutality. And if Jesus were here in America today, he wouldn't be going to the white man. The white man is the oppressor. He would be going to the oppressed. He would be going to the humble. He would be going to the lowly. He would be going to the rejected and the despised. He would be going to the so-called American Negro. All over this earth, dark people who have been oppressed and exploited by those who are not their own kind, strangers, are coming together to get the oppressor off their back. You and I learn a lesson from that. We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.